Let me see, fix this. Yeah. What is up, everyone? Scott Brandt coming to you on this beautiful Sunday evening in Colorado Springs. Just trying to adjust the camera here. And man, today was beautiful. Ended up doing. I went through the next lesson of the coaching intensive that I'm going through. And it was funny because there was one thing that was said that stuck out, because this is something that I really talk about and I really emphasize with people is enjoying the process. The process is what you can control. Too many people are trying to get to the results, and you can't control the results. The only thing you can control is the process. Control the steps that you put into trying to get to your end goal. And it's one of those things that people will be like, oh, I need 2 clients this week. You can't control who's going to sign up with you. You can't control who's going to decide to work with you. You can control the process of how you reach these individuals and how you speak to these individuals. But it was yesterday, ended up recording the next episode for the Journey Beyond Divorce podcast. And it was just wonderful to have Lauren Chesmore come on there, be our guest host, and just to listen to what she had spoken of, talking about her passion with professional organization, and just some little ear nuggets that she was able to provide in regards to her experience of this year with her and her husband. And so did a little bit of different aspects with the episode this week as I was editing it. And that will be out on Tuesday, that next episode. But just took a little snippet that really stuck out with what she had spoken and had that to start the episode. So it's just a constant work in progress. And then yesterday, towards the end of the day, I had some friends that reached out to me, and they had run into a little trouble. And so got over there and was looking. And I was like, let's just go for it. They're like, no, we can't. I was like, we can too. Here we go. But it was funny because I asked them, I was like, how long did you guys stand here contemplating how to get what you needed to get down? They're like, it was about an hour. I was like, are you? No. Okay, whatever. So took the leap of faith, had some pictures taken care of. And so I actually uploaded that to my profile on Facebook. And it was just very funny and whatnot. But then towards the end of the day yesterday, ended up recording the next episode for another podcast, which is the Missing Sock Conundrum by 2 random guys. You can go check that out. We'll end up getting that next episode uploaded and produced. I'll have it probably released tomorrow and whatnot. But I looked because we went to the park that we sat down and met and just talked about different things. But I had the equipment with me. And so we were able to record the podcast, that next episode, right then and there. Like, we didn't have to wait. We didn't say, oh, well, it's not the perfect time. No, we just went for it. And so it's it's wonderful. And when people look and they're like, I wish I could do it, you can do it. You just got to really just go forth for it. And you can't think about what can go wrong. It's not perfect. It's not right. Because we have background noise. But you know what? It's okay. We were going with imperfect action, just going forth and doing it and whatnot. So I think the biggest thing is, if you're watching this and you're like, I wish I could do it, go and do it. Screw it. If it's not going to be perfect, there's not going to be ever any perfect time for you to go and accomplish whatever it is. You've just got to go swing the bat and take the imperfect action and potentially end up creating and living the Fuji lifestyle that I and Patrick talked about. And so that's one of those things that, oh man, I was meeting with a friend today and we sat down and talked. And the funny thing is, I had shown him a concept for our original idea for 2 native sons for our logo. And he's like, well, are you going to get in trouble for what you're utilizing to accomplish that logo? I was like, I don't know. I've seen this all around using the Colorado state flag. And if you go look at the Colorado state flag, is public property. And he's like, well, I don't know. And I was like, okay. So I went and looked. And then I showed him the concept for what we have. And he's like, I told you, because I told him, I was like, I looked and found out that it was public property. And he's like, well, I told you that. And I was like, no, you did not, you freaking liar. And so it's just funny that, you know, you love your friends And sometimes your friends will do some crazy shit that you're like, are you kidding me? I love you where you're at, but you're just not, your advice and how you think is not matching up and not vibing. So I love you where you're at. I'm grateful for our friendship, but when it comes to business, not what I'm looking for and whatnot. So, but then he was asking, he's like, well, I can do free stuff for you. And I was getting ready to leave, and he's like, well, have you had a business that made $7,000 in one day? I was like, no, we'll be doing a lot more than that with what we're planning with Two Native Sons. But it's just one of those things that you hear that spoken, and it's like, that's not our end goal. The money's going to come. Money's a vehicle. Money is energy and whatnot. But it's what value are we going to give people? What value are we going to help people out with? How are we going to impact people? And so it's like, what are your foundational values? What are your values? What are you helping other people create? Instead of this is the end result. It's like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, that was one day, but what's the rest of the time look like? And so I love this dude, but just the vibe aspect with business, not there. So I'll be there to support him because I know he's got some big things going on, but just the live aspects just doesn't match up. And so I think that kind of goes into the fact that when you talk to people, I was listening to a YouTube video by Travis Brown, who ends up has created the pod deck tool that I've talked about. And I was also on his newest podcast, 20 Questions, which should be released here in a couple weeks. But he was talking about why he doesn't like the term expert. And he was saying that a lot of times when people are like, I'm an expert, he's like, what happens is these people look at it and it's like the end all be all. And there's no growth that takes place after that. So Travis is like, I'm a lifelong learner. And so that's the same thing for me. It's being a lifelong learning. Because if you're like, I'm an expert, a lot of times you end up not continuing the learning process. You just assume that you know everything because Travis brought up the fact that what's working now may not work later on. And if you're the expert, sometimes you just get into this status quo that you're like, I know everything I don't need to learn. And then you end up shooting yourself in the foot because you've gotten in that mindset and this aspect that you know everything. And honestly, I think it's hard. It's truly hard to become an expert because it depends on the career field. It depends on what you're doing. There's so much that goes on inside the career field that it's tough to really know the ins and outs. And so Travis, and this is one thing that really resonates with me, especially within coaching and whatnot, that he's like, if I don't resonate with you and I'm not able to assist you to get your goals and get to where you need to go, I want to help you out to find somebody that's going to really resonate with you and really help you achieve those goals. And so I look at that and I'm like, yeah, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And I know that I'm not going to resonate with everybody, which is okay. But I love having the relationships with different individuals and being able to assist these individuals to go connect with other people, because I may not be that person that is going to help you out, which is okay. Because maybe we're not speaking the same language, we're not vibing, we don't have the same frequency, we're not matching up. So I would much rather, instead of saying, well, this just isn't going to work, sorry, I don't know what to do. No, okay, here's somebody that I would highly suggest you go and talking to get to where you need to go, instead of kick you out to the curb and say, best of luck. And I think that's one of the things that I really talk to individuals in regards to when I sit down and talk to people. I'm like, are you open to talking to other people in your industry? And this comes into the abundance versus the scarcity mindset. And if I talk to somebody and they're like, no, I don't like to talk to people, I'm like, well, this relationship's not going to work. Thank you for your time. Best of luck to you. Because what happens, because we have some people that assume that they're the end all be all for everybody. They're everybody's cup of tea, and you're not. You're only one person. You can only service so many people. So why not, instead of trying to hold on tightly and try to like hamstring people, it's like, no, if I'm not going to resonate with you, we don't click, let me at least direct you to somebody that I know and trust in the same industry that can help you out. But it's one of those things that you just got to look at things differently. And that's kind of why I asked the question, are you open to talking to people in your industry, or are you kind of cut off and you're like, I'm not talking to anybody because they're all my competition? Because it comes back to that abundance versus scarcity mentality. And I don't want, ultimately it comes down to the fact that I don't want somebody in my circle that has this energy that's going to bring people down, because that's not going to work out. It does not work out that way. And so I'm not going to allow that to bleed, because the other thing that comes into play too is I don't want my name attached to somebody that I refer out to, and something goes wrong. That's not good. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is enjoying the process, but don't look at yourself as an expert, because you're putting up these expectations for people to really follow, and then you're setting people up for failure, because these expectations are predetermined resentments. And so it's a unique approach, a unique way to look at it. That's just how I look at things. You may not look at it, which is cool. I love you where you're at, whatever you view and whatnot. But like I said, anything, if there's an aha moment, if there's something that I've spoken on that you look at it differently, share that in the comments. I would love to hear your opinion, see what you're seeing, see how you're viewing things, and see if there's something that maybe I'm missing. Because that's the only way we grow, is to be able to see how people are looking, the lens that they're looking at life through, and see if there's something that I'm missing or you're missing. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to have that open mind and take a perspective from what that person's looking at and seeing if there's something that we're missing and whatnot. But it takes a bigger person, and it takes getting out of your own way. It legitimately takes punching your ego in the face and telling them to sit down, because we don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. People can be like, I know everything. Okay, thanks. You're not the person that I need and whatnot, because you've got this mentality of being closed off. You're going to miss something. But in regards with some different things that I read and study and whatnot, there is 4 tactics of envisioning. And these are very powerful tactics, these 4 things. And so if you are looking to reach bigger levels, dream of bigger things, see things in a different light, and really stretch yourself, I would highly suggest reaching out to me. Send me a private message, and I'll share these 4 things with you so you can help yourself out and have this value that you can pass on to other people. So it's just things that sometimes people really don't think about. But also, as I talk about too, if there's something on your heart, in your spirit, in your mind that's sitting there boiling and you just don't know how to get it out, reach out to me. Let's sit down and talk. If you feel like there's nobody in your corner, nobody there to support you, reach out. Don't hesitate, because the more we come together and we work as a team, because as humans, we're social creatures. We're meant to work together. We're meant to have that team. We're meant to have that tribe. Don't hesitate to reach out. Send me a private message. Would love to hear what's going on. Love to hear what you dream about. See how I can be of assistance to you and bring value to you and help you out ultimately. But other than that, I want to thank you guys for your time. Checking out the live. If it's replay, cool. That's cool. But other than that, I love you guys. I'll catch you guys later. All right. Peace.